Harvey Weinstein, who was convicted of rape in the landmark #MeToo trial, was sentenced to 23 years in prison Wednesday after the once powerful Hollywood mogul remained defiant during sentencing. The sentencing was a landmark for the #MeToo movement, which sparked a worldwide reckoning on sexual assault and harassment more than 2 years ago. Weinstein, a once celebrated Hollywood producer, said ahead of his sentencing that he was worried about the movement's implication for men in due process. A jury convicted Weinstein last month of third-degree rape of Jessica Mann, a former aspiring actress, and a count of criminal sexual act in the first degree against Mimi Haley, a former Project Runway production assistant. Weinstein was sentenced to 20 years for criminal sex act in the first degree and 3 years for rape in the third degree to be served consecutively for assaulting 2 women in New York. He was also sentenced to 10 years of post-release supervision for both charges. The former Hollywood producer faced as little as 5 years, but the judge's decision was much closer to the maximum 29 years he faced. Judges often run sentences concurrently, which means a defendant can serve out both sentences at the same time. Arriving in a wheelchair, Weinstein spoke ahead of his sentencing and addressed his role in the #MeToo movement, saying he believed thousands of men are losing due process and he was worried about the country. He said he had no great powers in the industry and couldn't blackball anyone. He said he believed he had legitimate relationships with his accusers. He added that he had not seen his children since the first article was published about the allegations against him, which he described as hell on earth. Haley said ahead of the sentencing that Weinstein's assault scarred her deeply, mentally and emotionally, and crushed a part of her spirit. She said if he were not convicted she believed he would victimize women again and again and again. Haley said she hoped the sentencing was long enough for Weinstein to acknowledge what he has done and to be truly sorry. Mann said Weinstein used his power over the powerless and her experience was a recurring nightmare. She asked for him to receive the maximum sentence, calling it accountability for Weinstein. I'm not here to give any more power over to the man who stole my body, she said. Lead prosecutor Jonah Luzzie-Orbone also asked for a maximum or near maximum sentence on Wednesday, saying Weinstein would never have been stopped from hurting more lives. He has been using and abusing people his whole life, she said. Donna Rotuno, an attorney for Weinstein, said the sentencing in the case was obscene and obnoxious and did not speak to the evidence that came out at trial. Rotuno said the sentencing was cowardly and she was overcome with anger at the decision. Silence Breakers, the group that represents prominent Weinstein accusers, said after the sentencing that Weinstein's legacy will always be that he's a convicted rapist. He is going to jail, but no amount of jail time will repair the lives he ruined, the careers he destroyed, or the damage he has caused, the group said. Weinstein, 67, faced a minimum of 5 years in prison and a maximum of 25 years on the criminal sexual act count. The third-degree rape count carried a maximum penalty of 4 years behind bars. The former film industry titan has denied all allegations of non-consensual sex and pleaded not guilty in the New York case. His lawyers have said they will appeal the conviction. In a filing last week, prosecutors pressed for a fair and just punishment without specifying a prison sentence for Weinstein. They outlined a series of sexual harassment and assault allegations against him, as well as claims of abusive behavior in the workplace. The filing said the judge presiding over the case, Judge James Burke of the New York Supreme Court in Manhattan, is permitted by law to consider all aspects of a defendant's life and characteristics as well as a broad spectrum of information in weighing a sentence. Burke had advised jurors to consider only specific allegations laid out in the formal charges. Weinstein's defense attorneys, for their part, requested that he be sentenced to 5 years. Damon Chironis, one of the ex-producer's lawyers, argued that his client deserved leniency because of the collateral consequences he has faced due to the wave of allegations against him in the New York trial. Weinstein cannot walk outside without being heckled. He has lost his means to earn a living. Simply put, his fall from grace has been historic, perhaps unmatched in the age of social media, Chironis wrote in a letter to Burke. Chironis alluded to his client's serious, ongoing health concerns. Weinstein, who entered the courthouse most days hunched over a walker, was sent to Bellevue Hospital over concerns about high blood pressure and heart palpitations after his convictions. He was later transferred to an infirmary at the Rikers Island jail. In all, more than 80 women have accused the disgraced Oscar-winning producer behind Pulp Fiction and The King's Speech of sexual assault and harassment going back decades, though the charges were based primarily on allegations from Haley and Mann, who each testified during the trial. The flood of allegations against Weinstein, first reported in October 2017 by investigative journalists at the New York Times and the New Yorker, fueled a global reckoning over sexual misconduct by powerful men in entertainment, the news media, finance and other high-profile industries. He also faces a sex crimes case in Los Angeles, where he is charged with raping one woman and sexually assaulting another in separate incidents on 2 consecutive days in 2013. He has yet to enter a plea in that case.